Speaking of Mustangs, we watched Lord of the Rings, which has a horde of it.
That was a stretch.
This is so stupid. You're like, go. Yeah, I totally made that up. We need to find a new game. I don't mean that to trick you. I'm just like, that's surprising.
That's exactly what it's meant for. I like it when it's just, there's a bad guy and he's bad.
Welcome, everybody, to Talk This Way podcast pocket review episode of The Last of Us HBO show for episodes 4 through 6. I'm here with my guest, Theo Griffen.
Hello. How's it going?
I said that like a question. I'm confident and then also not confident at the same time.
He knows who I am.
Yeah, so we both have been watching the show, but now that the 6 episodes come out, I invited Theo to come and talk about it. So Theo, first off, let me hear what you think about the show so far as an entirety, not just episode 4 through 6, but all of it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Like all the episodes, just everything is just like, it hasn't been a bad episode in my opinion, and they're all just like really good, really well written, and I think this is like probably one of the best adaptations from like video game to TV show. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would agree. And when when I first heard that they were making The Last of Us show, I was like, crap, they're gonna ruin it. Because I mean, you think about like the Assassin's Creed movie.
Oh yeah.
I know it's not a movie and it's a show, so it's probably better to adapt. Has there ever been a show that was made from a video game before this? I don't remember.
I would say a lot of like Resident Evil. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
There was a Resident Evil show?
Yeah, just like...
Oh, and The Witcher.
Just like, yeah, and The Witcher, yeah.
Yeah, The Witcher I heard was good up until season 2.
Yeah.
It started getting bad after that. And
yeah.
That was because the writer and director of the show was like, we hate the books.
and Henry Cavill was like, I'm gone.
Exactly. Peace. But anyway, yeah, that's cool. I'm loving the show too. As you listeners know, I am a diehard fan of the game. I'm like, I have a problem with the game. Like, I've played it so many times, and then I'm gonna play it again when it comes out on PC in March. I think was when it was. Yeah. So, I mean, Naughty Dog has made so much money off of me. Like, I've bought that game probably 6 times. So, but anyway, so yeah. For me, watching this show, it's been really cool to be able to see them kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
And I've really, really enjoyed seeing the differences, but also the similarities where it's a different adaptation, but it's the same message, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, the story is progressing in the same direction, but the way they're getting there is different, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And, like, for how much I have the game memorized, it's really rejuvenating for me to be able to watch it and see, like, it's almost like I'm experiencing it again for the first time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you played the first game a while ago. How long ago exactly, do you know?
It's probably a few years, and then like I'm starting like to play it again, like kind of following the show, just kind of like nitpick the like differences between the game and the show, and
That's cool.
But yeah. And then I played the part 2, so I'm I'm well aware like where that ends out. Yeah.
That's fun. What difficulty are you playing in on the second time?
Second time, I think it's just normal.
Yeah.
I can't do like the what's the hardest one where it's
Grounded. Well,
what's the hardest one where it's like if you die, like you have to like is there like you have to like
the whole game?
Oh yeah.
So that's only in the remake. Okay. The Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah.
Which only released on PS5. It's about to release on PC, which is what I'm going to get. That one added 2 more difficulties on top of Grounded.
Yeah.
So one of them, One of them was I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically like a little bit tougher than Grounded in the sense of the enemies were harder, there were more enemies, there's less ammo. Like it's pretty vanilla kind of upgrade to Grounded.
Yeah.
And in in the game there's like a listen mode and stuff like that. In Grounded you don't have listen mode. But yeah, in this one it's all of that, and if you die you have to restart the whole game. So it's like permanence or something like the permanent death.
Something like that, yeah.
I can't remember.
Because they introduced that in the second part as well. Because I noticed that when I was choosing my difficulty for playing the second part, and I was like, what is this? No, I don't want to do this.
For a game that long?
Yeah, oh my God.
Could you imagine you get to the final battle?
I would just quit. Whatever.
I wouldn't play video games ever.
Yeah.
I would be so mad. But anyway, okay. So back to the show.
Yep.
Episode 4 through 6. I'm trying to remember. Episode 4 was them just getting to the town.
Yep.
Is it Salt Lake City or was it Kansas City?
It was Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah. So they're just now getting to Kansas City in 4. In 5, they're trying to get out. And then in 6, which is the most recent one, they get to Wyoming.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so yeah, they get to Wyoming, and then they obviously, spoiler alert, but they find Tommy, Joel's brother, and then find Jackson City.
Yeah.
Jackson, the town, I guess, not Jackson City.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, what did you think about these last 3 episodes?
Let's start with the 4th one. I think it was a good setup for. I really liked the episode. I think it was a good setup for episode 5, and it was kind of like what I was explaining to you. I was like, it's kind of like episode 4 and 5 is kind of like part 1 and part 2, because like in the beginning of episode 5, it's kind of like this is where Sam and Henry is in the episode, in like the previous episode, and then it's like now they're here working with Joel in the 5th episode. But yeah, I think it was really well, like really good. That the ambush, I thought it was like it was good for what they could like adapt into a show, because I know it gets pretty crazy in the game. Like it's like, you have like people shooting everywhere. Like they added the brick, like throwing up against the windshield. But in the game, it was like they had like this big bus like coming down from a hill. I'm like, there's no way they could have done that in the show, especially in like Kansas City, because like
this isn't directed by Michael Bay. So.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was even like kind of he had to kill that kid.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, that's the humanity of it, It's just like, in the moment you're like, yeah, I gotta kill this guy to survive, but it's just like, then you realize.
In a video game, it's I guess there's a difference in weight, in the situation. But in the show, I mean, when he started crying out for his mom, like that.
That was hard.
That was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a bad way, but just like it was hard to watch because of how real it felt,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. I think they did really well adapting that to a show. And then, in the game, there's like this whole section of them getting into this town is like, in the game again, it's a bunch of like puzzles.
Yeah.
So that's where the gameplay mechanics come in. And then also in this section of the story, in the game, it was adapted to my favorite multiplayer map in The Last of Us multiplayer, which was called Plaza, I think. Sorry, I can't remember the name. I'm picturing what it looks like in my head on the loading screen. That's how how bad I am. But but yeah, in the game, that's where the story. That's where that takes place. This whole part takes place. It's also where Joel lets Ellie have a gun. So that was a pretty big deal because she in the game he actually posts her up high with his rifle. And then she kind of snipes while he's down murdering everybody. And then but in the show, she saved him with the gun, which
Yeah.
again happens in that same thing too, but in a different situation.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But still, I love the way that they adapted it. So
Yeah.
Now I want to ask, what did you think about the antagonist? I guess the lady.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a nice addition to kind of like, for at least for like the 4 and 5. It was a nice little like, I guess like kind of like an antagonist, as you said, to the story, and just kind of like for that part of the story, I think it really fit well.
Yeah.
With like Sam and Henry, because she's looking for them because they escaped. But I thought she was pretty good. She was menacing enough to where it was like, I don't know. It's just
I didn't take her seriously until she came out and was like, we have a doctor, do you need a doctor? And he's like, nothing, save that. And then she went in and killed the doctor.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I agree. I felt like it definitely added, and it was cool. But I also feel like if she wasn't there, wouldn't have really. I don't know. It was one of those things where, like, in the game, you know, the hunters or whatever, they're just effed up people. You know, they're more effed up than the Fedra.
Yeah.
But in this, kind of funny because I correlated it to like the protests and stuff that are happening like in today's world.
Yeah.
And like what would happen if those really got out of control. You know, it was cool to be able to see that side of what was going on, because I'm sure in the game that probably is what got those people to that point.
Yeah.
It's just so much later in the story that, you know, we didn't get to see all of that. So this is like, that's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I think they had just gotten free when Joel and Ellie showed up.
They just over whatever, taken over the city. Right. Fedra.
Right.
Yeah.
Killed all the agents and everything. Yeah, that's right. I was a little sad at the way that she died. You know, again, it was an antagonist, but you were leading up to this epic like boss battle or whatever in a sense, and then
baby
the
clicker
villain's gonna die. But then it was just that baby clicker just jump and grab her. It was like, really? You know, it was uneventful, but it was still like that baby clicker was cool.
Yeah.
And then of course the bloater. I mean, now we're at 5, but you know that man. Beautifully done as far as makeup and cosmetic and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was all practical still. I don't think they've done
I couldn't like when I saw like they posted a picture like days after the episode aired, and it was just like, this was real. Yeah. Like in a way, it's just kind of like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think the director of the show, and I really need to remember his name, but the director of the show in the podcast, of the Last of Us podcast, hosted by Troy Baker, he talks about how he is striving for practical effects. He's an adamant practical effects guy. He's like, we'll use CGI to correct the practical. Yeah. But we're not relying on CGI for everything. You know,
I agree.
We're not starting at CGI. We're starting at practical and ending at CGI.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I kind of like that. You know.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, like the bloater, and then like I'm sure you picked out the mercenary guy second. Like I was like, that's Tommy from the game.
Yeah. I recognized his voice in a way that I was like, that voice sounds familiar, but I couldn't put my thumb on it.
I told you to get it. I was like, you're gonna get it.
I did and I didn't, because I had to Google exactly who it was. But I was like, it's somebody from the first game, like from a different character. I just didn't know, like, it sounded familiar, but it didn't click in my head that it was Tommy right away. I had to look it up. But
I think it was pretty fresh in my mind, just like shortly, probably like a month off of coming off of part 2, because he has more of a role in that.
Yeah.
So he has more lines. So I was like, second or third line he said, I was like, that's Tommy from the game. Like, right. That's awesome. Yeah. But the way that he died, like from that bloater, it's just like, I'm like, that's just like in the game. You know, they reaches in there and just rips your head off. Yeah. They already had Jackson, they met with Tommy, they already went to the university. You know, it's just like, wow. It's like that's like 2 parts of the game, like right there in one episode. But
I think University is either University or the Dam. Is the name of the chapter in the game. Pretty sure one of those. I don't remember which one, but one of those is the halfway point.
Yeah.
So because they still have all of David's.
Yeah. I'm curious
and
if
Ellie being on her own for a while.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. Now I'm a little worried. My buddy Ethan, I told you before we started that he's not a huge fan of Ellie, the actress who plays Ellie in the show, and I. It's not that his reasoning for not being a fan is that he thinks that she's nothing like Ellie in the game, and while that's kind of true, she's also portraying her own version of Ellie, which I admire, and I like that.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side of things, I am very interested to see how she handles being on her own.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she plays very well with other people, if that makes sense on set.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how she acts. How
Yeah.
the actress is, acting when she's all by herself.
Yeah.
They probably won't have her by herself for that long, even though in the game she's by herself for a while.
Yeah.
But she'll probably run into David pretty fast.
Well, she'll get like a main part because the next episode is Left Behind, the DLC
Right.
of the first game.
That's right.
So we'll see how she does with that episode. I'm looking forward to that.
There'll be flashbacks and stuff with that episode.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
back to 6. Just like Jackson it looked great. Like I was like, man, this almost looks like from especially part 2. It's like it's really come together and like they really adapted it well. And
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I also am like, it's hard. Like I heard so many. It's people, the internet will argue about everything.
Everything.
And I saw so many complaints about Maria. And I'm just like, she did great.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's a different Maria. Sure.
Yeah, definitely. But
there's a lot of differences in this show.
Yeah.
We're really gonna fight about this one.
I mean, even the actor that's playing Tommy. I mean, like he's great.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Like it's just like it's his own version of Tommy compared to the game. Like it's just. I mean, you could even say Pedro Pascal is Joel as well. Like it's a totally different character.
So I'm glad you said that because that transitions us into the pretty much the last question I had for you. What did you think, or what do you think about Joel having anxiety?
I think as a show, it's great. Like I love that. Like it's just like, he might be like, I heard like he was like older in the show than he is in the game. So it's just, it kind of makes sense. Like his age is catching up to him, and he still has that like PTSD from losing Sarah. And then like when he was like in Jackson and he sees someone that kind of looks like what would be an older version of Sarah, and it's just like the daughter runs up to him, and I'm just like, bro, this dude's like, he's having a I'm having a panic attack for him. Like, oh my gosh, like.
Oh man, I know. I thought I'm gonna ask Ethan tonight when I see him, but Joel is his favorite character.
Yeah.
In the game.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why he hates the second part. But in the show, or in the game, Joel is like badass, no emotion.
Yeah.
He's shut down.
Mm-hmm.
He's hardened so much, though, especially for what he's done to survive.
Yeah.
He's murdered a lot of innocent people.
Yeah.
So I like that the show is being more humane, I guess. Like pulling out the humanity in him, because like you can't do all those things and be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to mention that world is so effed up that it's like you wouldn't be okay even if you didn't do those things. But especially from doing those things and then losing your daughter and this other stuff. But one more thing I want to comment on, and then we'll wrap up. But I loved the in between, or the moment at the end where Joel and Ellie were fighting. She was like, it was from the game, It was almost word for word what was.
Yeah.
Except for one or two things that they said, but again, this is what's crazy. So it was word for word.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm just going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
One word was off, so I'm just going to say that it was word for word.
Yeah.
Being that, it still felt new. Because Joel and Ellie in the show, Pedro Pascal and what's her, I can't remember her name.
Bella Ramsey.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was Bella something, but anyway, both of them bringing their own version of their characters to that scene, saying the same things that the characters in the game say.
Yeah.
It was so cool because that scene is one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
In the game, and so being able to see it reenacted, the same thing but different, was just super cool. I was smiling so big in my bed all by myself when I was watching it. It's funny, man. You probably wouldn't want to watch movies at home with me because I would I hold back in the theater because I know people are around me.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting at home, I'm like, yes, when cool stuff happens.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I thought that was great.
I loved it too. I was like, I feel like this is because I don't remember playing that part yet, and then I was like, man, this kind of sounds like what it was in the game, or I've seen people post on social media those lines and then I played the game, I played that part, I got to that part, and then my wife was in the same room, and she heard that whole scene. And then she was like, that was exactly how they said in the show. And I was like, they broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
It's but I completely agree. It was coming, and especially, since you love that scene, it's just it's still great to hear that you enjoyed it, even though you knew it was coming and you knew how it would end. But it's just those two, man.
It felt brand new.
It's just those two actors. It's just they really sold it, and it's just
they're playing very well together.
Mm-hmm.
As far as actors having chemistry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're really good together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was anything else I was gonna add. Do you have anything in your notes that you wanted to talk about? I want to talk about some potential Easter eggs of part 2. Yeah.
They're in Jackson, and they're eating at the table.
I know what you're gonna say.
And then there was this girl watching them, and then Ellie's like, yeah. And then she just runs off.
No, they confirmed in the podcast that was
okay, great.
That was what's her name.
I'll have to listen to that podcast. I haven't listened to it yet, but
what's her name?
Dina.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
I say they confirmed it. They said it might not.
But I saw this video. Somebody said that it was kind of confirming it, or at least connecting it to the second part, because there's I think you're in the game you're on the you and Dina are riding on the horseback. And you're if you wander around enough, you'll end up just talking. Yeah. And then Dina talked about the first time she saw Ellie, and it matched up with that scene in the show, and it was just she was like, I wonder who this person was that was eating all the beef jerky, and I'm just that is Dina. Yeah. Oh my gosh! Yeah. So it's kind of cool how they're tying in potential things for future seasons.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I was going to say, it confirms for me that they're wanting to. I don't know if they've confirmed a season 2 yet or not.
I think they did.
They did? Okay. Well, if they did, great. If not, this just gives me hope that they will.
Yeah.
Because they're setting it up.
And if not, it's just a cool Easter egg, just to have that for, the people that like the second game, and myself included. I enjoyed the second game. But yeah.
I like The Last of Us. Enough time has passed. I'm not butthurt about it anymore. Now, if you ask me if like which one's better, I'm gonna say the first one all the way.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna ask me if like, did you think that spoiler alert, them killing Joel was a good idea? I would say hell no. But that's my opinion, you know.
Yeah.
And the director obviously thought otherwise. So.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have an opinion on like because I haven't played it enough. I haven't really like dove into it enough. Like just playing it for the first time, it's just kind of like, you know, I know everybody was like, oh, when I'm playing Abby, like I just don't even care, you know. But it's just like I looked at it as like a like what is he trying to say like in this, you know, in these parts, and it's just kind of like we're all human.
Yeah.
We're all trying to survive.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's just like
I've watched and I've read and I've listened to all of the interviews with him because he's, especially since, if you remember, that scene was leaked before the game came out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
He had to come out with a bunch of interviews and explain himself in order to not plummet the sales.
Yeah.
So I understood where he was coming from. I just disagreed. But he's a creator, so
it's totally
I'm not the kind of person I have zero authority or anything. So, but I admire his view.
Yeah, and it's your opinion, like if you like it or not.
Right.
But
now, I will say I loved the gameplay of the second game way more.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
I have got my fingers crossed, and I'm praying to Jesus that the multiplayer, that they release a multiplayer. I've seen so many different posts and different articles and stuff where they've leaked scenes or like people who are supposedly working on it right now have leaked that they're working on it, but it's not been confirmed or commented on by anybody at Naughty Dog, so I have no idea. But I hope so. I want that so bad because I don't know if you know, but so my buddy Ethan put 400 hours into the multiplayer PS3. And then an additional 300 hours onto the PS4 version.
Oh, wow.
Think about how many hours that is.
That's a lot.
That's a long time. Over the course of years, for sure. But, you know.
Yeah.
I think last I checked on the PS4 remastered version, which is I played it a little bit on PS3, but I came in a little late, so I upgraded to a PS4 for the majority of my time playing that game. So I think I put in probably right around 200 something. So I definitely played a lot, but not as much as them. But I loved that multiplayer. I mean, it was the perfect, in my opinion, it was the perfect combination of like having that sort of, you know, the fast or the quickness of a multiplayer, you know, kind of game with the depth and the combat and the intimacy that The Last of Us combat is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I loved that multiplayer. It's so old, and I try to play it now, and it's not even fun because everybody knows how to exploit everything.
Oh, yeah.
Because they stopped patching it.
Yeah.
So everybody's God. No, you can't kill anybody in that game. It's horrible. Cool. Well, I might have you back on for the last.
I'd be happy to come. Yeah.
If I can't convince Ethan to come on, or if you, I don't know if you'd be the right person to talk to. No offense to him, but we both agree on everything. So
yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. See ya.